convenings like that was needed for young leaders, needed in the space to share strategies, build solidarity, and feel affirmed in their voices. And my workshop particularly focused on, knowing your rights and storytelling for not only tools for advocacy and change, but also as we're seeing in this dark time in our country, and letting young people know from the campus community to the streets that they still have rights, that they still have their First Amendment right to protest and petition the government, the right to free speech, and it was well received. We had attendees who left feeling really engaged, and not only feeling really engaged, but also having the strategies to go back into their college campuses and into their communities to fight for our freedom and for our democracy. And so I believe that the Emerging Leader Summit was a success, and I contributed that to the National Urban League and also to our family at the Transformative Justice Coalition.
Thank you. Terry, as the Secretary of the Board of TJC, what did our 10th anniversary milestone mean for you?
Honestly, Barbara, it just, I sort of took stock for the 10th anniversary, looking back at what TJC has accomplished over the years. We have well over 500 alums of the training programs that TJC does, the Know Your Rights, the voting rights trainings, where TJC goes into specific states, Arizona, Georgia, all these states, teaching Gen Z and millennial voters, here's what the voting rules and laws look like in your state. Here are the laws that are attempting to suppress the vote. Here's how you can handle those voter suppression measures and make sure that people have the opportunity to vote and have their vote counted. All of that training is not just giving information to people, it's creating networks that are now spreading across the entire country of people who have an understanding of how voting works, how it could work, and how it works to the detriment of many voters, and how we can make it work to the benefit of all of us. So I'm thrilled to be a part of TJC.
Wow. And to all our guests, to Terry, Jaheem, to Toro, and to Malcolm, last week we saw people's victory. After this fascistic, out of control, thinks he's king president, his Brendan Carr, his FCC commissioner, threatened Disney because they didn't like the truth that Jimmy Kimmel was speaking about the wrongful actions of this president. And Disney, Disney had the nerve to suspend him indefinitely. Well, the people of the United States had something to say about that, didn't they? They got out there and shocked, the folks. They thought people were just going to moan, groan, be mad, turn the station. They didn't know that people would be so angry that they would actually start, canceling their subscriptions. In fact, Disney's market value went down by $5 billion. Put that B up there, $5 billion, because of all the cancellations, all the anger, all the people protesting. For each of you, and I'm going to start with you, Toro, what did that mean, that because of the people's anger, the people's action, that they had to reinstate him, and then Sinclair and Nexstar were forced to do the right thing also by instituting the show? What do you have to say about this moment?
I think that this just shows the power that we have as the American people, and this shows us that we, the American people, can be the ones to change everything. We can take down the tower of oppression if we start from the bottom. We put our money where we want to. We stand up and protest. We get a lot of attention from that. And we can put pressure on our officials. We can put pressure on the billionaires. We can put pressure on these companies to do what we desire. We just need to be united to do so.
And Malcolm, that's really interesting that Turo should say that. And it's interesting from the aspect, not simply that, what did we learn as a result of the victory of what happened, but Malcolm, I want to ask you this question. What did we learn about the administration that they were willing to put forward this fight?
Well, it's very clear that the administration is banking on the likelihood that many of these big corporations will simply bend the knee in order to protect their profits. It's clear that the president is hoping to bully everyone into submission, and, we just have to refuse to comply in advance. Here in Portland, we believe that nonviolent resistance works, and we are prepared to withdraw our cooperation and consent from what we believe to be an illegal government.
My, wow. Come on, Jaheem, what do you think about this? What has your young people that you've been hanging out been saying about all of this? Go ahead.
Well, it reminds me of what we talked about last year. When we fight, we win. And from the Jimmy Kimmel controversy, the lesson is clear. When people come together and act collectively, even the most powerful corporations, the wannabe dictator-in-chief, and networks have to listen. The mass protests, the council subscriptions, the financial impact. Those wasn't just symbolic, they were effective. Disney, they listened, they woke up. And it shows us that public pressure works and our democracy is strongest when everyday people recognize their power and use it to hold institutions accountable. And I want to go a little step further and say that we saw this fascist in chief celebrate canceling Jimmy Kimmel's show. And literally less than a week later, Jimmy was back on air holding this administration accountable and speaking truth to power. And that is what democracy is about, and that is what our right to free speech is about. And so to all the listeners out there, never forget that your voice holds power.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Go ahead, Daryl.
And Terry, do you think that we learned anything regarding Nexstar and Sinclair? And because they had really dug in, right? They were not going to give in. I mean, was this a thing of the victory for the people based on the content or the fight to not regulate speech, or was it a thing of economics and the pocketbook and what they saw themselves losing?
Oh, I think economics plays into it so hugely. I mean, I think when we say we are not going to cooperate with oligarchs and corporations that are using their money to further oppress us, and we just say, fine, we will not shop at the companies that advertise on Sinclair. We look at what's going on in Target. The Target boycott is ongoing now because Target said we're going to roll back our DEI policies after holding itself out as a very DEI-friendly organization. They pulled the rug out. And guess what? Many of us started a Target boycott or joined a Target boycott. And parentheses, one of my favorite stores. I used to love shopping there. I don't shop there anymore until they reinstate their DEI policies. That has had an enormous impact. We have brought Target's profit margins way down. The CEO of Target has had to resign. So yes, consumer boycotts can have an enormous impact. We have to do it smart. We have to know it's for the long haul. The Montgomery bus system in the 1950s was boycotted for over a year before they finally changed their apartheid seating systems in Montgomery, Alabama. Mm-hmm. So we have to be smart. We have to be sustained, and we have to remember to keep our arms linked. What the oligarchs are going to do is try to divide us against each other. That's what we have to not do.
Wow. And I just want to thank you, Terry, and I want to underscore your point about the Montgomery boycott. This year is the 70th anniversary of that boycott. There will be a public summit held December 5th through the 7th in Montgomery, Alabama, featuring a focus on young people also. And we have learned that if we can do 381 days in 1954, we can do everything in this year. So let's go and talk about what happened on Sunday. I can't, this man, the Lord have mercy, this president, this so-called president. On September 28th, President Trump ordered 200 National Guard troops to Portland over the objections of the governor, the mayor, and allegedly the Portland police. This has set the stage. He once again lied like he has in D.C., and a shout out to Free D.C. for all their great work that they're doing to fight here in this city. But I also want to point out that he just lied and talked about all the mayhem in the streets and all of this and that, and people living in Portland are going, where? What you talking about? Where? Any lie will do. So, Toro, you're there in Portland, on the ground, fighting this. What has it been like? I mean, on a Sunday, he decides to do this nonsense. Tell us, what is happening now on the ground in Portland?
Well, Sunday we did hold an emergency rally, and we had a good number of people out. We had the governor come. We had the mayor come. We had Congresswoman Dexter come out and march with us. And there's a lot of fear and concern because Portlanders and Oregonians, we love our town. We love our country. We are confused because you walk around, there's Portlanders having brunch. There's Portlanders walking their dogs. Whatever is happening at the ICE building, which is primarily peaceful, as there are people there 24 hours a day, but that is also one block of Portland. One block. And to designate all of Portland as a war zone because of several isolated incidents in one block of Portland, it feels so preposterous that it feels a little bit surreal, to be honest. But the city and the governor has stood behind us, and we've been in talks with them. The Portland police has also stand behind us. And so there is a feeling of unity that I have not seen before in previous protests, where we are coming together with our elected officials, working together against this government to take a stand. And I do believe that the silver lining of this is that Portland can become stronger from all of this.
And Malcolm, I'm listening to what Tora was laying out. Some of the fear and concern, could you sort of relay to our audience what the fear and concern is of the folks that are in Portland as the president is really attacking Portland, Oregon?
Well, I'll tell you, we here in Portland believe that if we can just, in the coming months, bring thousands of Portlanders into the street to exercise nonviolent resistance with courage, discipline, mutual care, and solidarity, that we will be able to meet this moment. We are not going to let fear get the best of us. We instead are going to transform that fear into righteous anger, and we are going to come together in the streets, and in that collective cauldron of catharsis, we are going to transform our anger into hope, because we will not let the city of Portland and the people of Oregon be oppressed by this extra-constitutional administration. We're just not going to let the fear get the best of us, y'all.
And Malcolm, you raise a really interesting point, because one of the things that we have learned over this past 9 months or 10 months, whatever this period of time has been, is that fear is contagious. But we also know that courage is contagious. And that's one of the things that we see happening in D.C. That's what we see happening in Chicago. That's what we see happening in Memphis. And, I've got to ask you, do you look at Chicago and Chicago's response to what's happening, and you can sort of get some ideas as to how Portland can respond and pieces that you can take from that in your response?